Welcome to your first of the seven chakra classes. We're going to go over 3 poses today that are aimed at balancing and opening up your root chakra or Muladhara chakra. I have with me today Marianne, Christine, Barb, and Georgia, and we're all going to display these different poses. We're going to show you some modifications as well as some ways to go deeper if that's something you want to do. So to get us started, we're just going to come right back into Balasana or child's pose. We're going to place the hands down on the floor, back the knees up. You have 2 ways of going into this pose. The knees can stay together if you prefer. We have nice wide fingers, middle fingers parallel to the outer edge of your mat. Otherwise, your knees are coming apart, maybe about mat distance apart. Toes stay together, and we're going to settle the hips back. The head can come to the floor if that's comfortable. If you want to get more into the hips, you're going into this wide knee position. If you want more into the low back, you're going to think about bringing the knees together so you have a little more roundness in the back, getting into more of a shell pose. In both poses, we want to aim for opening up that root chakra, which is located right at the very base of the spine. Right between the anus and genitals, actually, is where you want to think about that pulsing red energy. And take several long, deep breaths right here in your child's pose. Even feeling the opening through the spine, the opening through the back as you breathe into that pose. And allowing the back and the shoulders to relax, the hips to relax. We'll do 2 more breaths right here in this pose. This is a great pose for coming into if you're feeling any stress. And then we're going to come back up into a kneeling position. We're going to situate the knees so that they are directly underneath the hips. Wrist creases are right underneath your shoulders and they're parallel to the front edge of your mat. We're going to turn the eyes of your elbows, this little inner part here, inward a little bit, little bend through the elbows. And then we're going to tuck the toes under and reach the hips back to move into a downward facing dog. You're letting your head release here so that the spine is long. You're going to allow your hips to reach toward the ceiling. Heels can come anywhere toward the floor that feels comfortable for you. Little bend through those knees once again. We don't want to lock our joints here. And we want to really meld the shoulder blades down the back. Take a breath. And then we're going to swing our right foot forward. Hands can come on either side of that front foot. And we're going to stop the knee directly over the ankle. So have a look. If you need to little monkey toe your toes up there a little bit to get forward, you can. And then we're releasing the back heel down. So as you release the back heel down, I want you to really plant firmly on the outside edge of your back foot. Your front knee stays stacked over the ankle, and then we're going to lift the arms up. Let the shoulders settle into your sockets. And breathe. So as you come into this Warrior 1 or Virabhadrasana 1 pose, you're going to think about putting that knee right over your ankle once again. You should be able to see the big toe ball mound on this front foot. And if you can't see that big toe ball mound, you might want to situate your knee a little more outward. We're all looking good here. Back edge of the back foot is really firm on that floor. Thank you, Georgia. And we're just letting those shoulders sink. If it's uncomfortable to have your arms up this way, you can always just bring them down to the sides, turn the hands forward a little bit so that you're allowing that chest to open and breathe. Nice deep breaths, breathing through the nose. Thinking about making your exhalation just slightly longer than your inhalation. One more breath right there. And then we're just going to take the hands down if they're up, frame the front foot. We're going to step back into what's called plank pose, and then either on the knees or in a straight line, we're going to lower through chaturanga or low push-up. Your elbows are going to come right into the sides of the body, and then we're going to take a little tiny cobra here. So we're not going to go really into sun salutes today, we're just transitioning. Bring it back up by tucking the toes and reaching the hips back, or you come back on the knees. And then the left foot is going to come all the way to the front of the mat. So if you can't get that foot to the front of the mat in one step, which most people can't, especially when they're starting out, you just take as many little steps as you need to get there. Once again, we're releasing the back heel to the floor and reaching the arms up, bracing through the abdominals as you do that to move into your Warrior One, Virabhadrasana One. Stacking that knee over the ankle. You can see Georgia's knee is perfectly right over her ankle there. Seeing that from big toe, checking again, and sinking your shoulders into the sockets, shoulder blades coming down the back. We'll take 3 deep breaths right here. Really allowing the chest to open, sinking down into that knee and thinking about that root chakra once again. And then one more time, we frame that front foot and step back. You can either go straight into downward facing dog, or if you're more experienced, you can move through a vinyasa. Your choice. Of course, a great resting pose at any point when you're doing any sort of yoga is child's pose, which we did first. Our right foot is going to come forward one more time, stocking the knee over the ankle and release through the back foot again. We're going to take our left hand and bring it up to the hip. And we're going to think about opening up through the side body and maybe even looking up over the head. We're going to straighten through this front leg and bring this right hand anywhere along this leg that feels appropriate for you. And really pull back through the hips so you're hinging through that hip. And then the top hand can either stay right on your hip or it can extend up to come into Trikonasana or triangle pose. If it feels appropriate for you, gaze upward towards those fingers. Shoulder blades, once again, are pulling down the back. We're really thinking about that opening through the chest and lengthening through the spine. One more breath right here. And then we release the top hand down to the floor as we bend into that front knee and transition to the other side. Again, you have the choice. You can bring yourself right into a child's pose, into a downward facing dog, or you can move through a vinyasa. All are completely appropriate. Be where you are. If you come into child or downward facing dog, you can come back up. And then the left foot is going to step forward. Again, as many steps as needed to get there. We're releasing the back heel to the floor. Left hand is staying on the floor. We're taking the right hand to the hip. Again, we're opening that chest up. The left hand can stay on the floor or it can come anywhere along this front leg that feels great for you as we straighten through the front leg, moving into Trikonasana. Have the option of reaching that hand up overhead and breathe with sound. We're holding these poses today for about 5 breaths. And then we bend into the front knee. Take the hands on either side of that front foot once again. This time we're going to step together at the front of your mat and come into a seat. And that concludes your root chakra poses for today. Thanks so much for joining us.